call this meeting to order. We may have citizens communication. If they come by, we can circle back to that later. So next will take us to the approval of minutes. Did everyone have a chance to look over that? Were there any questions?
We do have public comment.
I said that we would, if they came by, we would circle back to it.
Oh, okay, great.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Do we have a second? Last meeting's minutes are approved, which takes us to the library director's report.
Okay, let me grab, it feels like it's been months since I did this report, but it really hasn't been that long. It's only been a couple of weeks. But, okay, so I have started including program stats. Not breaking them out necessarily by age group, but just overall, our program stats. And you can see that they're significantly higher than they had been. Part of that is due to being fully back and operational, and people being more comfortable coming out now. I think we can just safely put the COVID, well, I shouldn't say that. Henceforth, we will operate based on apples to apples sort of comparison with the statistics. So circulation is still down a little. Although this month it was almost neck and neck. Well, February 24 was neck and neck with February 23, so it may have just been a fluke. I want to see how it goes through the summer. That's our busiest time, and see how that is, because we are up in library accounts. We did, during COVID, switch to back. Originally, we had a 3-week checkout, and then somewhere along the line, one of the directors switched it to 2 weeks, and then we switched it back to 3 weeks. So that is going to show some lower stats, but it shouldn't affect last year's, because I think we did it before last year. So anyway, we'll just have to keep an eye on that. Circulation on electronics was up, which is great, and those just really fluctuate. It's hard to tell when they're going to, I mean, you can kind of tell when they're going to fluctuate because of when people's projects are due in school and stuff like that. So you can kind of guess, you know, you're going to see heavier use probably in December, and then heavier use towards May. So I expect to see that. Our computer use in-house is up slightly from last year. I still see a lot of people in the library, so that's great, and it's reflected in our stats. Our visits are up, and our visits to the catalog are down a little bit, which is not a significant number, so I'm not terribly worried about that. Programs that we had, we did a Black History mini book buzz event, and so that's where the librarians talk about upcoming releases. We had the 16th annual Romance Reader Social, which is hugely popular. Meg Miller is in charge of that, and she did a great job with author interviews, crafts, games, book signings, etc. And then one of the new programs that our new youth, one of our new youth librarians introduced is Wise for Yoga. So it's a kids yoga class. And then they also have a kids move and groove, which is to get kids physically active. And does anybody have any questions on the director's report? No? Okay.
That takes us to the Friends of the Pflugerville Library report.
Hello, my name is Kim. I'm here on behalf of Aaron, who couldn't be here this evening. I'm the treasurer of the Friends, and he has written a report for me to read to you. So, yes, Aaron would do. So I'm going to read this to you. So some financial news. We continue to see contributions via Buy the Book Nook out there, both the cash box and the QR code for PayPal payments. Our exciting news is in regards to the Amplify Austin fundraising event. We had a lot of success. It was our first time to do it. As mentioned during the last library board meeting, we had brought the Friends profile live on the Amplify site. We saw a strong outpouring of support during the early giving period, raising more than $1,500 during that time. So that was before the actual date of the event. The Amplify Austin main event was last week, March 6th at 6 p.m. through the 7th at 6 p.m. And during that 24-hour window, we saw an additional $1,800 donated, bringing us to a total of $3,312. Nearly all the contributors covered the platform and bank fees, so that was what we netted, which was wonderful. We consider this a major success. It's our first time attempting this style of fundraising, and due to this, we'll be considering doing a similar drive for Giving Tuesday in early December. All right, activities and book sale. The next book sale is Friday, March 22nd, coming up, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The flyers and handouts promoting the sale are up in the library. If you follow us on Facebook or Instagram, you may see there's been quite a bit of promotion there too. We'll be promoting it on social media and newsletters this coming week. As a reminder, we'll have hats, patches, buttons, and more available for reasonable amounts, with all proceeds going to supporting our favorite library. The library has also had, this is a new thing that's just come up in the last couple of weeks, a program, Board Books for Babies, that the Friends has contributed towards in prior years. This program targets pre-K early readers, especially from families where English may not be the primary language. This year, the library staff are wanting to expand this program to have more off-site components with a greater amount of outreach. To this end, the Friends, with the assistance of many wonderful library staff members, we're attempting to apply for a grant from the Moody Foundation's Educational Impact Fund to bring this program to the next level. So they're working on that application right now. Should be getting submitted in the next day or so. We are still early in the grant application process and have no feel for our chance of success. We've never done this before, basically. We have hopes that partnering with such a large benefactor will now open up larger opportunities in the future. The application process is long, and its final disposition won't be known until late summer. But that's what we're working on right now. Our next board meeting is next week on March 19th at 4 p.m. here in the library, and it's open to all Friends members. And thank you for allowing me to give this report. Do you have any questions, concerns, or communications you'd like me to bring back to the Friends at the library? And that's it.
Great job on Giving Tuesday, on Amplify Austin.
Yeah, we were
Congratulations.
we were over the moon about how well it went. It was great.
Do you guys already have plans for those funds? Like you have them earmarked for something?
No, they'll probably just go into the general pool. We get allocation requests from the library every month and basically take care of those. We'll probably be talking about those next week. I'm sure we've got some submitted, but I don't think we have anything specific towards that. Maybe some of those funds will go towards the Moody Foundation grant or supporting that program if that comes through, but nothing specific yet.
They give us a lot of program support. There's a lot of things that we wouldn't be able to do without the Friends program support. We couldn't do things where we had like a gift card or something like that, and a prize package or something that somebody wins for reading the most hours or whatever, because it's considered money. So it's not something that we could use taxpayer dollars to give to somebody who wins that contest, So Friends support things like that, but they also give us money to buy supplies, because we do, all of our programs are free. We don't want people to ever have to spend money at the library, so the supplies are also always free. So, yep. Well, the library wouldn't be here without the Friends. So. Okay.
Next up is our student liaison report.
For my report, in terms of, say, testing that's going on, juniors recently had their SAT day, and they recently took their SATs for STAR testing. Those aren't happening until April or May, and AP exams are happening during May. In terms of events that are happening at school, nothing really. It's just Women's History Month right now, and for that we haven't really heard about anything. I think that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something to take back if you want. This library has Peterson's test prep, so they can take practice tests for the AP tests and the SATs. And we give every student in the school district an electronic card. It's called a digit card. So They just have to ask their librarian for an application. We can do that. It's free.
Okay.
And then we have discuss and consider action of library policies, section 3, library services.
I was gonna make this 3 and 4, but this one's kind of long, and I've got some explaining. So I tried to print, I'm sorry it's so small, but I tried to print my comments out by the sides of what I've changed. So as far as acceptable proof or identification to get a library card, we really want to expand this quite a bit. Right now, I think it's a consulate card, or it's a passport, or it's a driver's license, or a Texas ID, or something like that. But a lot of people who maybe need the library services the most aren't necessarily going to have those documents or those IDs. And another thing is that this is in preparation for something that we hope to offer in the future. It was in our 5-year plan, and I know we've discussed it before, and that's the idea of an enhanced library card. And what that is a library card that can serve as a government-issued ID for those people that don't have a driver's license, can't rent an apartment without one, can't get a job, that sort of thing. So the Austin Public Library has the enhanced library cards. And we really want to model our program on theirs. So this is something that we're still really in the planning stages of. So it's not something that, expect to see next month. That's not going to happen. But we are going to try for that. And this may be something that we need to bring to City Council. I'm not sure yet. That's how new in the process that we are. But to sort of start the ball rolling on that, I wanted to open up what we will accept at the library as far as an ID goes, because a lot of that's going to go into this person getting that enhanced library card. They have to give us some kind of identification in order to get that. So what will we accept? And these are this is actually straight from Austin Public Library. Do we have any questions or comments or feedback on that? Any component of that at all?
Do all these forms of identification include some type of picture?
I believe they do.
As my concern would be like,
Yeah.
identity theft and somebody taking somebody's name or something and just putting it on a card and then getting a government issued card that they can use.
Right. The only thing that here that would not necessarily have their picture on it would be the written verification by a homeless service.
Yeah.
But then we would be taking it on the word of that agency. And again, this is something that, we can't just decide we're going to do. This is something that I would need to probably take to City Council and ask to be able to do. But even if we didn't end up doing a enhanced library card, I want library cards in the hands of those people that need them. So even just to get a regular library card, we are at this point requiring some sort of ID. I just want to expand that out so that all of our community has a chance.
Do we have programs in place for people that don't have this kind of identification, that we can facilitate them getting some kind of identification on this list here at the library?
That's what the enhanced library card would do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because we're a quasi-governmental agency.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm just throwing that at you. You don't have to approve tonight, but that's something that we definitely. And now that I've got it in here, I think that that's something that I need to do a lot more with city administration and city council to get their okay on it. But from what we've talked to, like my boss, who is an assistant city manager, they seem open to it. So. We have
this
the
was
printers.
copied from Austin's public library, but I'm assuming we'll go through and replace Austin with Pflugerville?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Okay. Okay. There's no significant change on the processing fee. It's exactly the same. There's just, I think I edited a word on that. Texture card program right now, they need to be a member of the library for 3 months in good standing in order to get a texture card. So the texture card is something that we issue our patrons to go to another library, and they can borrow from that other library with that card. We are contemplating removing the 3-month waiting period. We're letting them borrow from us. So, just seems like it's just another thing to make them wait to borrow on our behalf, but that would be up to the board to decide whether or not they wanted to change that to keep the 90-day waiting period or change it.
Is there a benefit in your mind to the 90-day waiting period?
No, it's one of those things that just always has been, and then we're sitting around going, well, why? And I think that at the time, it was a different, public libraries were a different environment when that rule was put into place. And we're trying not to be punitive or a library of no. We want to give people whatever they need, so. Already did that one. Okay, so then we get to the online resources and equipment. These green highlighted things were put in there by legal when they went over this last year. So, and they said leave them highlighted, so that's what we're doing. Under meeting rooms, I did add the pods. And basically the pods are treated much like a meeting room. If nobody has it reserved, people can come in and use it. The only difference I think between the pods and the meeting rooms is that we are not charging for people to use the study pods. Often when they're going to be using it, it's for something like school, and I don't know about y'all, but when I was a student, I had no money. And also people who are doing maybe an online interview for a job. So, we want, again, for them to succeed. So, right now, I don't want to put a fee associated with the study pods. If it gets to the point where, there's some kerfluffle or something about it, then maybe we'll add that. If we add a fee, though, any kind of fee to anything in the library, it does have to go through the Finance and Budget Committee. So it wouldn't be something that was enacted immediately. The board could vote on it, decide on it, and then it would go to the Finance and Budget Committee.
What do you anticipate the need of the fee being, like to clean up stuff that's left behind, or damages, or?
That is mostly what we use it for the meeting rooms, but also people, when it's a free space, often get a sense of ownership over that space, so it would kind of cut down on that a little bit, but yeah. But I don't want to go into it thinking somebody's going to start abusing it immediately, So that changed. I did add the maximum capacity of the single pod is 1 guest, and the ADA pod is 4 guests. And that includes a wheelchair. It is wheelchair accessible. Do y'all have any questions or comments so far? And we're not necessarily going to need to vote on this tonight. I think we decided that we'd be voting on it all together.
What are the interlibrary loans? What do those items include? Computers and stuff like that?
It depends on the lending library. Each library has their own interlibrary loan rules. So when somebody gets the texture card, or I'm sorry, you're asking for interlibrary, 2 different things. Interlibrary is us contacting another library and borrowing a material on behalf of one of our patrons. The text share card is giving them a card and they go to another library and check something out. And in both cases, the lending library sets the rules. So some libraries probably wouldn't, like for example, we lend out laptops and hotspots. We have a limited number, so we don't allow those to be loaned out via interlibrary loan or text share. Those are used for our taxpayers and our citizens because we don't have very many. And another library might not have a large DVD collection, so they may not loan those. So it's just dependent on the lending library whether or not they'll let those out.
And the reason for the extended 90 days was just because was it because of shrink or just because?
I couldn't actually tell you what the specific, it was before my time when that was implemented. My guess would be to, it would be to have some sort of assurance that this is a responsible patron and they're not gonna just borrow the material and not return it.
Okay, thank you.
In the meeting room and study pod section, there's one bullet that about refreshments, and I think it's clearly worded just specifically for the meeting rooms, but since now we're adding the pods, I don't know if we might want to revisit how it's worded.
Okay.
Just because refreshments may be served, they are provided by the group.
Yeah, I
It's a
could
little
just,
weird if it's more like food or drink are allowed.
yeah.
As long as, because I could see somebody thinking like, oh, they're gonna bring me crackers in the study room. If they're not reading
We might,
super closely.
we've done it before. We usually do that with the teens because they're always hungry. Okay, so food or drink allowed, that's a good point. And I guess under the fees, I could put pods, no charge. Or do you think that would just be too confusing?
I think it would be helpful just to have it written out there.
Okay.
I had the same thought.
Okay.
Oh wait, you have it here.
Do I? Oh,
I mean, it's
have
not
it
in the
on-
chart, but it's right under it. Currently, there are no fees to use a study pod.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Okay. I just forgot. I think that was it on this section. And Larissa had a good point that she emailed me, and that was, I gotta remember it because it was a good point. I referred to something in here, oh, library cards, the different types of library cards. I referred to them in this part of the document, but I don't think that I have it anywhere in the policies where I just list out the different types of cards, and that's probably something that I need to do. I'll go through the rest of the documents. I want to say that I know the digit card's in there. Yeah, I should probably just make a simplified little chart that says all the different library cards and put that in the library card section. That then goes a little deeper into that. Especially if we're gonna do an enhanced card.
As far as the enhanced cards go, and our approval of the new bylaws, would you approach the city before or after we gave approval to add this in?
I will bring it up again to my city manager probably within the next week. I don't anticipate that they're going to say no, but I know that legal is going to need to get involved with it, and make sure that we're dotting all the i's and crossing all the t's. So I'd like to have all of that ready to go before taking it to council or voting on it or anything.
If it doesn't survive that process, though, we can still approve the language extending the
Yes.
definition of acceptable proof of
Yes.
identification.
Yeah, because that's all I have in here right now. I don't think I put anything about enhanced library cards in here yet.
For the acceptable proof, for educational institution photo ID, is there any kind of accreditation factor in there? Because like all these others are coming from verified sources, but if they're just saying any educational institution, not that I think people would be making fake school IDs,
Yeah.
but that seems an easy way.
We could say accredited educational institution. Since, I imagine that Austin might have it that way because they're including high school IDs. But we don't allow kids under the age of 18 to get a library card for financial responsibility purposes for materials that aren't returned or damaged. I can ask Austin what they mean by that, but we can always just put in accredited.
Because I tend to think that there are legitimate educational institutions that are unaccredited. For example, there are law schools that lose their accreditation all the time, not like particularly prominent law schools, but legitimate educational institutions that lose their accreditation.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, I don't understand, if they have a school ID, what does it matter if it's accredited or not, if the ID is valid?
No, that's very much my point, that there are legitimate educational institutions that lack accreditation for some reason or
Yes, yeah,
another.
a lot. They lose it.
Yeah, and I just throw out accreditation, but I just meant in any way, it's like, is there a verification
Make sure it's
process
real?
to make sure it's a real
Yeah.
institution versus?
Oh, I see.
If you come up with your Texas concealed handgun license, obviously we know where that's coming from, but if I had a school ID for Smithson University,
We might ask Austin or inquire into Austin's policy to see if that's otherwise defined.
Okay.
Did we have citizen communication? Did you want to touch back on that?
no one's showed up.
He didn't show up. I do have an email that I'm happy to share with you guys. It is not anything that, it's not anything that anybody can vote on.
Magazines?
No.
Same guy?
No. This person wanted the library to change a policy on when somebody loses or damages, and that's the only thing we charge for. We don't charge fines or anything like that, but if you lose or damage an item, we do ask that you pay for it and pay the $10 processing fee. We do ask that you pay the market value of it. That's what all libraries in this area do, because you're reimbursing the taxpayer dollar for dollar. You're not necessarily just getting
The
that
value of
item.
the book. Right.
Some people will come and want to bring a copy they bought on Amazon or something as a replacement for that item. But again, most libraries don't accept that because you are reimbursing the dollar amount. You are not reimbursing the
The
item
book.
necessarily. The item may be something that we are not going to replace. It might be that we're using those funds to get another item for the library that would be more popular. So that's why we don't accept the, to be honest, sometimes if it's something like a audiobook, people will unknowingly purchase an abridged version of it, and we don't circulate abridged versions. It's only the full, which is significantly more expensive. They're several $100s. So this person wanted us to change the policy, and I explained to them, this is why we have this policy, and it is in line with our neighbors because I have lunch with them all the time. But if they wanted to bring it to the library board, they could come and talk during citizens communication, because it is not a policy that I can just change. It's not a policy that the library board could just change. This is another one of those that would have to go on your recommendation to finance and budget committee, if you were to do that, if you wanted to take it to that. We also charge a $10 processing fee for most items, not for magazines, because that involves, recataloging, labeling, stamping, all of the little things that go on in the back of the house that we do to make something shelf ready. And depending on the item, it can be a really tedious and long process. If it's an audiobook that has 60 discs, we have to beg people to do it. Yeah.
That's a reasonable amount. I did it as a volunteer, and it's fees.
It is.
And so
Yeah.
that means it's labor intensive too, so
It is.
that's a reasonable fee as far as I'm concerned.
Any questions, feedback? You can disagree. I'm
Right.
good with that. That's what we're here for.
If there aren't any further questions or comments, we have a motion for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
And a second.
I second.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.